What's up everyone, Art at Overtake. Today I'm out in the shop working on a Forester XT, and I decided to take a little bit of a pause to introduce a new product. It's the Overtake electronic 3-port boost controller. Now if you're familiar with turbo Subarus, you know that they all come factory with a 2-port boost controller outside of the FA24 engines, but it's usually one of the first things that a tuner throws out of the car and upgrades to a 3-port. We'll get into the reasons for that, but what I want to do first is unbox this new unit, show you what it's all about, show you how it hooks up in the engine bay, and then we'll even go up to our whiteboard and draw out a little bit of a schematic to make the install easier for you. So let's see what we got in the box and then move from there. We're going to get into all the fitments of the Overtake 3-port boost controller later on, but in a nutshell, we've got one for every turbo Subaru that needs one. The first one I'm going to unbox is the one we're going to put on this Forester XT. What you'll see is a package buy card with Justin Grimm's name on it right there, some packaging material, the 3-port itself, a length of hose, a couple mounting brackets depending on which kit you get, and a baggie of hardware. The first thing you're going to want to do is grab an Allen wrench and do a quick install on the bracket itself depending on what fitment you have. So that just means sliding the screws in. And then for this fitment we have a couple of grommets that are going to fit right in here. Now I'm going to hop over to the car, take the big bracket this is going to go on, and show you the install for this. And we're going to talk about routing on the car to give you an idea of the install before we go up to the whiteboard and show you a visual of where everything's going to be connected. On this particular model, a 2004 Forester XT, you can see that the OEM 2-port boost controller is on this bracket connected to the passenger side strut tower. Once we remove it, we can literally see the 2 ports on this unit as opposed to the 3 ports on an aftermarket 3-port electronic boost controller like the Overtake unit. The really cool thing to show you here is the OEM connector clicks right into our boost controller, so it is a plug-and-play unit, which is great for tuners. One thing to mention at this point is depending on the model of Subaru that you're going to be working on, the location for this plug is going to be in a different place. For some of the earlier 02 to 07 stuff, it's going to be on the strut tower here. For the 08 to 14, it's going to be in the middle of the intake manifold. And if we're talking 15 through 21 WRX, the FA engine, it's going to be underneath here. What I want to do while we have the opportunity is go through some of the major connection points. We're going to point them out here, but sometimes it is tough to tell with all these parts and hoses all over. Once you get an idea of this, we'll hop up to that whiteboard and we'll show you exactly how to install this thing. As you guys could have guessed, the 3-port boost controller requires 3 lines to be attached to it, so I want to point out the major ones. Right here, you're going to have your turbo inlet, so you're going to have a line going from that. You're also going to have a line on your turbo compressor. That's the one that sees boost right there. And then depending on what kind of wastegate you have, whether it's internal or external, you're going to have a 3rd line. Now those are the ones that are going to route to this. It's going to plug in and the ECU is going to tell it how to control the boost of this car. Now that we've got a general idea of what to fit up to the 3-port boost controller, let's get a little more specific by drawing it out and showing you exactly how to connect this thing up.
So if you're not familiar with how your vehicle controls boost coming from your turbocharger, it's relatively simple from the factory. So there is a reference line coming off of the turbo compressor housing and running straight to the wastegate, which has a spring, and that gate opens up to slow down the turbo and control boost that way. So if we had just a line going straight between the reference and the wastegate, it would run at whatever the spring pressure is within the wastegate. But within the factory setup, they actually add a T into here, and that runs over to the wastegate. That then this has a piston that opens and closes and breathes this back into the intake, basically controlling the amount of flow coming through. However, this is not a very efficient system. It's not very accurate, and it's really hard to control once you start trying to turn up the boost. What the point of 3-port boost control solenoid is to do is to add a little more granularity into the control of the system. So we get rid of the direct connection here, and instead we have port 3, which is the center port on the 3-port, runs directly to that turbo compressor reference port. Port 2 goes directly to your wastegate actuator, and port 1 gets recirculated back into the intake. On our cars, it is important that we recirculate this back into the intake because there's a MAF, and if we got rid of that and just vented it to atmosphere, that would cause a big leak and issues with the Subaru's computer. So if you are looking to upgrade to a 3-port boost control solenoid in your Subaru, head on over to the link in the description to overtakeusa.com and grab one for yourself. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a follow here on YouTube, as well as over on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at OVERTAKE USA.